You wouldn't expect to go to a 5-star or even a 4-star restaurant and be eating off plates that are kind of chipped and have seen better days. I've had mine for probably over 10 years now, and it works as good as it did on the first day I got it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Love Marby. I am super excited for this episode today because I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite things that I would buy over and over and over again if I had the chance to, things that I love in my kitchen specifically. If you're new to the channel, I'm Michelle Marby Davies and I love all things home, heart and hosting, and that's what I share on here, everything from recipes to tablescaping and just things to make your home beautiful. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button, and I can't wait to share more with you. Okay, so as I mentioned for today, I have a list of things that I would buy over and over again for my kitchen that I think are just great investments depending on what you love to use. But I think it's really important to buy things that will last you a long time. And most of these things I've had for years and I have no regrets. And even the things that aren't for the purpose of longevity, some of them are just great in terms of function. And I love things that combine both good function, like good functionality, and also great design. So here's my list of things that I would buy over and over again if I had the chance to start from scratch. The first thing is my Nespresso machine and my milk frother. Now, I know for some people you prefer different kinds of coffee machines, and if you don't drink coffee, then this isn't one for you. But I love being able to have something that I can use every morning that's a part of my routine. And I have had my Nespresso machine for probably over 8 years or so. I have both machines. I have the classic style with the classic pod, and then I have the Virtuo Next machine. I also had the Virtuo Plus at one point, but I think the one I have now is the Next because I prefer the design of it. Now, I wasn't always a coffee lover. I am someone who loves tea. And if you are someone who doesn't drink coffee, I think you can apply the same principle in terms of purchasing a really lovely kettle. Like the kettle that I have is from KitchenAid, and I love the way it looks in my kitchen. I know some people prefer Smeg, but I just love having some sort of appliance that can work with me over the years, but also as a part of my daily routine. And it looks great in my space. I love the way my Nespresso looks wherever I am. I've not gotten rid of the old machine because I love some of the flavors of the classic pod. And I also love how hot the classic machine is. I don't know if anybody else who has Nespresso machines notices the difference, but I feel like I get a really hot cup of coffee when I use the classic machine. But time and time again, I would buy the Nespresso machine. I feel like I've experienced different kinds of coffee machines and I would still love and go for my Nespresso. I think the trick is working through the different pods and figuring out what you like. And also with the milk frother, I haven't changed my milk frother. It's the same milk frother that I got probably 8 years ago, and it works perfectly fine. I love using it. Even when people come over and they want a hot chocolate, I still love being able to use this to make their milk extra foamy before I give them the hot chocolate. But I think it's just one of those great additions that looks great in a space. And you can set it up. You don't have to make it look like every other coffee bar you've seen online. As long as it looks good to you and you like the way it works, I think it's a great investment to have. The next thing that I would buy over and over again is a good Le Creuset pot. Now, I know sometimes when people are first introduced to the brand, they're like, why does the pot cost that much? What does it do? And I know there are other trending brands out there in terms of cookware, but for me, investing in cookware that you know, one is going to be backed by the manufacturer. If anything goes wrong, they will, without a shadow of a doubt, make sure they either replace it for you or they fix whatever's going on with it. My aunt has had her Le Creuset cookware for over 2 decades, and I think at one point something was wrong with one of them and immediately they just replaced it. It has a lifetime guarantee, and I love being able to build a collection. Surprisingly, I went for the black, which is cast iron on the inside. This is different from the ones that are enamel on the inside. And I went with black because it kind of goes with my space. And I know even in any kitchens that I have in the future, it would work there as well. But I do want to add some of the other colors that I love. There are so many colors I love from the range. And I love that they combine durability and great functionality with beautiful design. Those are some of my favorite things when it comes to things that you can have in your kitchen or your home. Things that look great but also work really well. And the one I have, like I mentioned, is cast iron on the inside. So at first it was kind of tricky for me to learn how to cook with it. And one thing that my aunt has always recommended is making sure you cook with slightly lower heat. I think sometimes we can learn bad habits where we cook on super high heat all the time, and it's just not great for the durability of the pots. But honestly, I love, 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 love my Creuset cookware. And the other good thing is with places like HomeSense, TK Maxx, whatever it is in your country, here it's Home Goods for us in the UK, you can get additional pieces. So my bakeware from Creuset, I buy from places like that because it's just easy to add to my collection at a fraction of the cost. And I don't feel like you need 1,000 pieces of Creuset cookware. I feel like you're gonna end up using your favorites all the time anyway. So to start, I just made sure I got 3 pieces. So I got the large Dutch oven and I got a shallow one. I'll show all of these pieces as well. But I just love that I have one for every kind of situation that I would need. And I also love the fact that with these pots, when I'm hosting, if I don't always want to plate everything into serveware, I can actually just lay the pots out because they look great. I changed my handles from the silver to the gold because I prefer that look. But I love that you can kind of customize it and it can work with whatever colors you like. I know some people love the reds, some people love any shade of green and the blues. For now, like I said, I have the black and I'm gonna add to my collection with time. But right now I have everything I need. The only thing that I did add was I got a frying pan from there, kind of like the non-stick range. And then I also got a pot that I get made fun of. Apparently it's not a small pot. I wanted a small pot for maybe boiling rice or heating up milk on the cooker if I needed to, or just everyday use where I don't require a big pan. But my friends still make fun of me and say it's not a small pot. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is it a small pot or not? But I love my Creuset cookware. I think it's a great investment. I've had mine for over 3 years, just about 3 years, and it still looks great. It works great now, especially that I've learned how to care for it a bit better and making sure that I'm not cooking on super high heat all the time. There's some great videos on the Creuset's channel that can show you how to kind of care for these. So yeah, make sure you check them out if you do decide to invest in some of these pots. The next thing that I would get over and over again is a good spoon rest. I think before I had the habit of when I'm cooking, I would put the spoon that I'm cooking with on a saucer or just on the side of the pan. But what can happen sometimes is the flame, especially if you have a gas cooker, can really cause your wooden spoons especially to just get discolored. It can burn them sometimes. And sometimes it just looks crazy. So what I prefer to do is have a good spoon rest and I just lay the spoon that I'm using to cook on that while I'm cooking. It just looks great. I feel like my life is put together because I have it. I know that's a stretch, but it works for me, okay? The one thing that I will say I've learned over time is not getting one that's marble. I think these can look great sometimes, but it's porous, just like with a marble worktop. And especially if you cook a lot of tomato-based stuff, like I'm West African, so almost everything that I like to cook from my culture has tomato or maybe some palm oils, or even sometimes if you have curry powder in your food, anything that can discolor that, it's gonna start to look crazy after a while. So I just got one spoon rest from Creuset, which is just in, I think, the meringue color. It's simple and it's just easy to clean. And then I also got a black one that goes with a spoon that I got from the Borough Kitchen, I believe. But I absolutely love having this in my kitchen. I think it just elevates the whole process of cooking and things don't just look crazy whilst you're cooking. Another thing that I would buy over and over again, and it kind of makes me sad that I didn't do this straight away when I first moved in here, was getting good Billy bookcases or any kind of bookcase or cabinet for your plates. I think initially when I moved in, I was kind of leaning more towards open shelving and I loved that and it looked great at the time. But honestly, having really grand tall bookcases and cabinets where I can store my plates, it's just elevated and it looks good. I've added lights in there and I would do this over and over again, especially if you don't have things that are built in. If you own your space, you can kind of add trim or woodwork to the top and get it to look customized for the space. But honestly, it feels so elevated. It feels grown and sexy. It's something that our parents used to do back in the day. I can't remember the name for it, but someone shared it with me on Twitter when I shared my transformation of the space. But I absolutely love the way it looks. I love collecting plates and I love seeing it. And I would also say the same for having some sort of freestanding island. Bonus point, that wasn't in my list, but my island is probably one of the best things that I added to my space. I got it on eBay. For anyone who's followed me on Instagram for a while, you will know I got my island on eBay and it was such a steal. I think the price it was going for on their main website was about £1,000, and they had an outlet on eBay, and I bought mine from there, and it's great. It's got a granite top, and it looks like it just fits in and works for the kitchen, but it gives me extra storage space. And when I'm hosting, people can kind of just gather around the island, and it's fantastic. But I just love the idea of being able to add in cabinetry or storage that maybe looks like it comes with a space and it works well with other elements in your space, but it's freestanding and you can get rid of it if you want to, or take it with you when you're moving. Absolutely 10 out of 10 would recommend. The thing that I think works really well for my Billy bookcases that I added to the space was making sure that I added the extender, so they're a lot taller and I can store more things at the top, but also it just fills up the space a lot more. I love playing with height and dimension in a space. So whether that's with artwork or with the cabinets or pieces that I add into the space, sometimes it can be really easy to lean towards going a lot smaller, but sometimes you have so much more of an impact if you just go a bit taller, go a bit higher, go a bit bigger than you think feels normal or comfortable to you, and it can really just make a huge impact in your space. The next thing that I would buy over and over again if I had a chance would be my KitchenAid. Like I've said before in previous videos, I used to make wedding cakes, but even if I didn't make wedding cakes, if I just love baking or just as a great piece that is durable, I think a stand mixer from KitchenAid is a game changer. When I was baking nonstop, I didn't understand the importance of having a stand mixer where you don't have to stand and kind of babysit whatever it is you're doing. Being able to walk away from whatever it is you're mixing is a game changer. I've had mine for probably over 10 years now, and it works as good as it did on the first day I got it, right? And the thing is, you can tell I've had it for a while because it's gone through some wear and tear, especially because I was using it professionally. But honestly, if I wanted to change it, it would just be because I want to get a different color maybe. But it works perfectly well. The only thing I've done recently is I got a glass bowl because I wanted to get one of the hand-painted bowls. I saw this glass bowl and it was on sale, and it's just nice to have both. And let's say if I'm baking a cake, I can use the stainless steel bowl for actually baking and the glass bowl for maybe working on the frosting. And it came with a lid as well, which I think is great for storing things in the fridge if you need to and you need to come back to it. Honestly, a KitchenAid stand mixer I think is a great gift to give to people, maybe for their wedding registry or a new apartment, or to gift to yourself, because it's one of those things that you're gonna have for years and years to come. Definitely a great investment. Another thing that I would invest in over and over again is having good bakeware. I think previously I didn't understand how this impacts the quality of your baked goods, but it makes such a huge difference. There are tons of videos online where you can see how, depending on the quality of the bakeware, the heat that's conducted, whilst the items are baking in the oven, it will affect how burnt or caramelized it looks on the outside. It will affect how well things are baked on the inside. Like, it's such a huge game changer, but also knowing that I don't need to replace them every year because I decided to skimp out and get one that is slightly cheaper. I think if you're building your kitchen and you're building your collection, just buy one good tin or 3 and just have your collection and know that you don't need to replace it often. I love getting pieces from Ware. Mine look like I've used them a lot because I really have, but they're fantastic. My cakes don't get stuck because once you line them with, I do the butter method and then flour. Once I bake, the cakes slide out of the tin, and that's what you want. You don't want stress. You don't want the stress of trying to wash it and things are just stuck all the time. And just being careful in terms of how you handle them, because if you do wash them with a metal sponge or a metal scrubber, it affects the coating on the tin. And then when you do try to release your cakes from it when you bake, it's not gonna come out as smoothly. So yes, buying the pieces that are great is part of the equation, but also caring for them really well plays a huge part in how long they last you and how well they work. But for me, Ware is a great one. Anything from, I can't remember the name specifically, but just Mastercraft, I think Mastercraft or KitchenCraft, I will specify this on the screen, but just investing in pieces that I know are gonna last me for a long time and I don't need to replace them. 110% recommend. If it feels heavier and it feels a bit more durable, go for that option because it's better than having to buy it twice a year and keep replacing and replacing because you're trying to save money on one. Another thing that I would invest in over and over again is buying good quality plates and making sure that my plates in my home do not have cracks, chips, or anything like that. I don't feel like you need to break the bank on this, but just getting pieces that you like, are good quality and will last you a long time. I love going to places like John Lewis or even just different collections like Next. Like I have some plates from Nina Campbell's collaboration with Next when I did a partnership with them, but they are great. They feel durable. They are weighty. Even sometimes when I go to Home Goods, Home Sense, I got some plates that look like they are a dupe of the Christian Dior Lily of the Valley plates. And honestly, they are fantastic. Just having plates where when you are eating, it feels like an elevated experience and you're not eating off chipped and cracked plates. It has such an impact on your experience, and I am a big fan of that. So if I had to start over and over again, I would buy good plates. Like it's a no-brainer for me, for my experience, for my guest experience when they come into my home. And you don't always have to break the bank on them. Go with whatever your budget can allow you to get, but just invest in good quality pieces. If you notice that, a bulk of your plates are chipped, just look for when there's a sale going on and invest in getting yourself a new collection that you can work with and you can enjoy, and look at how to take care of them better moving forward. Like I said, places like Home Goods, Home Sense, TK Maxx, TJ Maxx, depending on where you are, you can get really good quality pieces. John Lewis, Vilroy and Bock. I love having good plates and being able to eat from plates and feeling like they are a good investment. It's just an elevated experience. Like you wouldn't expect to go to a 5-star or even a 4-star restaurant and be eating off plates that are kind of chipped and have seen better days. So just having good quality plates is something I would invest in time and time again. Another thing I would invest in over and over again is good quality cutlery. And again, like I said, you don't need to break the bank on this. Some of the pieces that I use and love time and time again are from Amazon. I will link them down below, but they are so durable. They're so heavy and weighty. I love cutlery that feels like it's got a bit of weight to it. I don't like eating with cutlery that feels too flimsy. And I love silver cutlery. And I found this set on Amazon that was just great, especially because I needed a large amount based on how often I host. And it's classic. It's durable. It's lasted me for about 3 years. And I love using it, and I can't believe how affordable it was. But 110%, I would invest in good quality cutlery and making sure that my cutlery matches. I don't like when I go through drawers and it's like the fork looks different from the knife, and I just want one set that works, whether I'm hosting, whether I'm eating at home alone, and it's seamless. It's a seamless experience all across the board. Another thing that I would get is having excess plates for hosting, and these can be cheap plates. Now, let me explain what I mean. So I notice sometimes that when I'm hosting and maybe I'm inviting more people than usual, sometimes I get a bit nervous bringing out the plates that I really love. So what I did was I went to Poundland and I bought plates. At the time they were £1, so it's the equivalent of you going to the dollar store. But I just got plates that were kind of not stark white. I feel like when you're getting plates on the cheaper side, don't go for the ones that look extremely white because they end up looking slightly cheaper. I got some that were cream, slightly ivory-esque, and they work fantastically well. They're about £1. They're probably like now nothing in the dollar store or the pound store is actually £1 anymore. Well, a few things. But these work so well when I'm hosting, especially buffet style, because if someone breaks one, I don't feel upset. I don't feel like the world is ending because they were so cheap in the first place. And just having an excess amount if you're hosting comes in so handy. I think the same rule can apply when you are getting plates that do cost you a little bit more. Getting 1 or 2 more so that if you break one, you're not like, oh, I have to go and buy a full set again, which is why sometimes I love buying plates that don't come in a set of 4 dinner plates and 4 bowls. I like buying them kind of loose so I can add more if I need to. But what I would say is if you're going to buy plates that are slightly cheap for hosting, I would say make sure you don't go for something that is very white because there's a way that it can look kind of cheap, and you want to get something that doesn't have too many colors, too many patterns. It works with your space. It works with what you normally have around. And if it breaks, you're not going to lose sleep over it. Another thing that I would get over and over again is good quality glassware. Now, everyone's taste can differ slightly when it comes to what kind of glassware you have. But I love glassware that looks elegant and dainty. And even if I'm drinking water like I'm doing today, I just love having that elevated experience, knowing that it looks great. I think having something that is tall and elegant, like it feels very Olivia Pope-esque. And if that's not your style, if you prefer something different, feel free. But I love something that has a tall stem. I think it just looks elevated. It looks elegant. I think it looks slightly cheap when it's stumpy and it's like short, and the rims, especially the rim on the glassware, the thinner it looks, I don't know why, there's something elevated and elegant about it. And I love just having a set that kind of matches and works. I do have probably more than the average person would have when it comes to glassware. My friends make fun of me when they come around. They're like, you could actually open a shop for glassware and cutlery and plates based on your space, but it's what I love. Some people love shoes and bags. I love crockery, glassware. And I think just having elegant glassware in your home, 10 out of 10. I would 110% recommend it. And I actually got these from Costco. Again, you don't need to break the bank. You just need to find something that has a great silhouette, something that is elegant, something that is understated and works with a bunch of what you have going on in your home already. I do have some pieces that have, you know, kind of more distinct features, but they still work with some of the colors that I have in my space, like the collection that I have from Nina Campbell. It has like a teal blue line across the top, or green, some people would say, but it works with other things that I have in my space because those are colors that I like when it comes to my plates generally. Most of what I have is white, but I do have a few teal plates as well. So get something that you know will work with what you have already. The only thing that I do want to add to my collection is those heavy glasses that have the crystal patterns on the bottom, like a highball. Love those. And that's the only thing I think I'm going to allow myself to add, because I think you can start to go overboard and have more than you actually need, and everywhere just feels cluttered and full and you don't actually get to use it. But I love my collection. I love having something for every occasion. I have martini glasses, champagne flutes. An elegant champagne flute is a must-have in your kitchen. Wine glasses, and I use the same for white wine or red wine, but you can separate and you can have different ones. I have highballs, I have tumblers, and I also have some whiskey glasses that I love. I'm just looking over at the Billy bookcase, and I have some shot glasses. So I feel like I have something for every occasion, but I always try to go for things that are elegant. They look like they've been made well, and you know, it works with everything in the collection, even if I buy them separately. Once again, Home Goods and Home Sense, TJ Maxx, TK Maxx, great places to buy things from. My tumblers are actually from IKEA because I feel like they work well. They look like stemless wine glasses and they work with the wine glasses that I have. But good quality glassware, definitely a must-have for your kitchen collection. The final thing that I think is a must-have for me, and I would buy over and over again, and I'm so glad I did, is good quality knives. I have my knives from Global. I had other knives over the years, and when I moved in here, I was like, I just want good quality knives. And at first when I saw the price, I was like, oh, but when I received them, I got one engraved and it has my initials on it, and the other one I just kept as is. When I got them, honestly, I used them for everything, day in and day out. And the thing is, if you're not a chef, even if you are a chef, most chefs probably use 2 or 3 knives at best. But if you're not a chef, if you're not cooking professionally, you really need a maximum of 2 knives. When you buy the whole set, when you buy the whole block, you end up using your 2 favorite knives. I have the same philosophy about everything when it comes to plates, clothes, shoes. I try not to buy a ton depending on what it is, because I know I will end up using 10% of that thing. There's one thing that you will always reach for over and over again, so you don't need to buy all 20. So what I did was I bought one, I think it was like a vegetable cutting knife, and then one Santoku knife. And I just said, if I need more, I'll add to the collection as needed. But honestly, it's been 3 years and I've just kept using them over and over again. And the one thing that I had to learn that my aunt did tell me was to make sure I wasn't putting my knives in the dishwasher, because they were so sharp when I got them, and with time I noticed they weren't as sharp as before. But it's because I didn't realize you're not supposed to put your knives in the dishwasher because it can make them quite dull. So that's one lesson that I'm thankful to have learned, and to make sure I'm wiping them dry as soon as I wash them, because they can get rust on them and it just affects the look of it and also the quality of it. But honestly, I love my Global knives, and I would recommend just the stress of fighting with tomatoes, or like if you're cutting onions, if you have to put your back into it, you either need to sharpen your knives or you need to replace them. And I love them. I think I'd probably you can use them for decades and decades. And honestly, if I take them to someone who is good at sharpening knives, they can probably make them feel as good as new. But I think having good quality knives in your home and not having 20 knives that are dull and you have to fight with, great investment that I would recommend time and time again. And sometimes it can feel daunting when you look at the price of some, because you feel like, how am I ever going to pay for all of this? But that's if you're taking the approach of buying 20 knives or 10 knives. I don't even think you need up to 5 knives. Like honestly, you have a cleaver, you have a vegetable cutting knife, and maybe just one other knife that you use for meats or other things. That's it. Really and truly, look at your knife block. You probably use the same knife that you like the weight and the feel of, and that's it. But I love my global knives, absolutely love them, would recommend them over and over again to anyone, and I would get them time and time again. Thank you guys for watching. I do have another video coming up where I'm going to share things that I have in my space that are just great pieces for decor. They're not must-haves, but I love the way they make my space feel and look. So if you guys want to know more, please let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, please share it with someone who it might be useful for. Someone might be moving into a new apartment or getting married soon or just wanting to refresh their kitchen. Share this video with them because there might be something in there for them that they will need. If you liked this video, please do hit the like button, do subscribe, and stay tuned for other videos where I'll be sharing more tips around home, heart, and hosting. Thank you guys.